Okay, so this video is going to talk about how to copy an angle using our compass and our straight edge. We'll also talk a little bit about why this works, and then I'll show you how to do it also on the computer. Remember, the steps for this are the same between doing it on paper or doing it on the computer. It doesn't really make much difference, but it does look a little different. So just like before, if we're going to copy an angle, just like if we're going to copy a segment, we need a place to put it. So we're going to start off by drawing a ray. Always a good idea to just make it longer than you think you need it. Now, there's a few extra steps here on this one. So the first thing we've got to do is we want to measure how wide this angle is, how far it opens up, but that's going to depend on how far along the angle we actually go. And keep in mind, these arrows aren't specific points on this angle. They just represent that these lines keep going forever. So there's absolutely nothing special about these arrows. We cannot use them as places we're going to do our constructions with. So what we need is we need to decide on how far out we're going to measure our angle. And so all we got to do is just pick some random distance on our compass and just make an arc that goes through the angle. That's going to set our points for where we're going to measure the opening of this angle. Now, before we change our compass, we also have to do the exact same thing down here. And it's going to be important that you make sure that you go far enough. This is a pretty small angle, so that's definitely far enough. So from here, I can just go ahead and measure how wide the angle is. So I take my compass, I'm going to set it to this distance, make it just a little bit smaller, but there you go, set it to that distance. Now the only place I can put my compass point is right here, and I'm just going to mark out how wide that angle is. And then I know that that is the point that my other side goes through. And I've copied the angle. I think my compass moved just a little bit because that one looks bigger than that one. But that's the idea. One thing that I like to see a lot, or I ask to see sometimes, is that you actually did. Sorry, there we go. You know, if I see that little mark going through the intersection point there, that helps me know that you actually measured the angle first, but that's optional. I need to see it here for sure. So why does this work? Well, let's take a look at which segments we copied, because I remember talking last week about how all of this is really just copying segments. So the first thing we did was we created a segment here, and we copied it up to here, and then we copied it down to here. So far I've got this segment, and this segment all the same. And if you look here, that distance there is actually all the same too. So I've constructed basically two equal sides there, two equal sides there. And then even though I didn't draw this in, I copied that distance down to there. And so it's, you know, I don't have to draw it in as a triangle. That's really not what we're doing here. But I copied that distance there to there. So what we've done is we've created two congruent triangles, and that's what made this angle be equal, is the fact that those two triangles are equal. So later on, we'll talk about how to, how to copy, a whole triangle, or actually we did that last time, didn't we? But later on, we'll talk about why copying three sides guarantees that the entire triangle, including the angles, are the same. But for now, what we really did is we copied this side here, we copied this side here, and we copied that side there. So we've constructed two congruent triangles, which have to have two congruent angles. Now, I did want to just show you with an obtuse angle too, before we go over to the computer. With an obtuse angle, nothing changes. You just have to make sure that you're being a little careful with your arcs. And that was probably a good example of what not to do here. If I make my arc too big, that's going to go right off the end of the paper. So let's just make it right there. So exact same steps. I'm going to take my compass, put it right at the point, and make an arc through my first angle, and make the exact same arc through my second angle, making sure I know I'm going far enough. I'm going to go ahead and just mark off those points real quick, because those intersection points are important. And then I'm going to use my compass to measure how far the angle is open. Take that distance there, copy it right down here, And again, I'm always just looking for where those two arcs intersect. That's going to tell me where to draw my last side of my angle here. And we've got our angle copied. So let's go ahead and go back to the computer here, and we'll do the exact same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and make an angle. There's my angle. And I'm going to make a ray to copy it onto. I'll grab the compass, put it right on the intersection point. Then I've got to figure out how to grab the top there. So I'll grab the top, make an arc through that, and then bring it down here, make the same arc through that. Just need to make sure I'm going wide enough. Then I will come over here, and I'm going to set my compass to this distance. I'll have to unlock it, get my pencil right there, lock it back up, and I just bring that same distance down, mark off how wide that angle is there, and now I can draw my other side of my angle straight through that intersection point. So I've copied that angle. Obtuse angle is going to work exactly the same way. Just make sure you give yourself some room on either side, and it might be helpful if you don't put it quite so close to the top like I did. That was definitely made it a little bit more difficult. Other than that, that's how you copy an angle. Go ahead and try that. I think there's only 3 or 4 homework questions or practice problems on the homework. So definitely make sure you do that. And tomorrow or next time, we're going to be talking about how to bisect things, bisecting segments and angles.